Warning: the video you are about to receive is not for the faint of heart. It contains graphic dialogue and images. Viewer discretion is advised. The Long Island Railroad during the 1930s ran a summertime and weekend special for kids as young as 8 and adults from Penn Station to Yaphank, New York, then known as Camp Siegfried. The following was taken from a podcast done by Political This Radio well over a year and a half ago.
Camp Siegfried, it's sick enough, but keep listening, keep watching. Camp Siegfried would actually have German festivals, and over 40,000 people would attend to their actual Nazi freaking camp. At least 150 children would go to summer school there in the 1930s. Holy shit. And who's responsible for this? The American Bund, which tried to actually mix American democracy with European fascism. That's a quote. Now, Attorney General Sneederman, we'll get to him in a second, was actually instrumental in the state taking over this German Nazi camp or Yaphank or the paperwork and everything in general. Only problem is, the League is still the same people who ran it in the 1930s, and he is still allowing this. In other words, he didn't change shit. He just changed the outlook and how you look at it and your perspective on it. This way, you get suckered into it. They're still running that shit, these Nazis. Now, once again, how exactly does sexual assault come into play when it actually comes to this Nazi camp? It's bad enough they did what they did. Now, check this out. They were so in good with the government and everybody else that the government actually wanted them to qualify and pay taxes and union dues and this and that. Those leaders had a strong belief that unions were filled with Jewish people. So what did they do? They demanded and ordered and forced everybody that went to the camp, I don't know if it's children included, definitely got to look up on that, wouldn't doubt it, to have sex with each other, to keep them pure, quote unquote. It's actually in this writing. Oh yeah, the Long Island Railroad, can you believe this? Trips to New York City and back, Penn Station. They were actually taking people for their Nazi festival. Oh my goodness. I have a complete different episode on the Long Island Railroad coming up, and trust me, it will blow the cover on a lot of shit for the grimy Long Island Railroad. And this actually goes all the way back to the early 1900s, believe it or not, with Hagerman and the Bicycle Company, and how he was actually trying to position a railroad north to South Long Island. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. This is the I'm Fucking With You. Did you absolutely think that we were going to end this discussion without talking about it? Well, it's pretty much a Nazi training camp. Well, it was a Nazi training camp during the times of World War II. What they did was Americans, Germans, you name it, went to Yaphank, New York, and actually trained to become Nazis. See that? Out off Hitler Street. Isn't that some? Yaphank, New York. And here's another picture of the now closed down Yaphank, New York Camp Siegfried. This picture, not World War II Germany, Yaphank, New York, Camp Siegfried. And here is a layout of a Nazi training camp. Where? Yaphank, New York, Camp Siegfried. This town was actually eventually sold to become Yaphank, New York. Now, the people who actually bought it, government, actually bought it from the Nazis who were set up by the government to actually train. Well, how did they buy it? In the deed itself, it actually says that no persons out of German descent shall actually own property, land, housing in the town of Yaphank. Guess what? That deed still holds true today. If you look up the census of Yaphank, New York, it'll straight up tell you there are no black, Spanish, Polish, Jewish property owners whatsoever. In fact, the current property owners of this Nazi training camp actually stressed how hard it was for them to actually get rid of this property because of all the stress that's due and the paperwork and the racism and stuff like that. And before we end this off, the Long Island Railroad actually shipped children and students and people back and forth to this Nazi training camp in Yaphank, New York.
The Long Island Railroad during the 1930s ran a summertime and weekend special for kids as young as 8 and adults from Penn Station to Yaphank, New York, then known as Camp Siegfried. There they had archery, pool, hiking, rifle training, bands, and even Oktoberfest. What was Camp Siegfried? Camp Siegfried was an adult and children's Nazi camp. This is the Camp Siegfried